It has been a grueling 19 months since an American Horror Story episode has aired. It honestly feels like an eternity in Murder House.
You are going to die in there.
But we finally have something to tide us over until AHS Double Feature arrives later next month. And tide is a good word since Double Feature will contain two types of stories, one from the sea and one from the sand. But today we're looking at the spin-off show American Horror Stories, which as far as I know are self-contained stories that are loosely linked through the AHS universe. Unlike a typical season of AHS which spans 10 or so episodes, there will be new stories every week with the exception of week 1 and 2, which is a two-parter. And let me tell you, there are so many Easter eggs and fun little details in these first two episodes. If you've been a fan of the show since the beginning, some of these will easily pop out, while others are a bit more hidden, but that's where I got you covered. If you're new to the channel, one of the first shows I ever covered was AHS Apocalypse. I'll leave some links to the AHS playlists I have below. And I'm really hoping Horror Stories isn't just fan service and that we get some unique and fun additions. Like if this show could be Black Mirror but with horror, you've got me sold. So in this video we'll be looking at episodes 1 and 2 of American Horror Stories, breaking it down and pointing out all the references to the AHS universe. So put on your rubber suit, make sure to hug this guy, and last but not least, don't forget to like and subscribe, because here we go. Welcome back to Murder House. Yes, if you're familiar with Season 1 or even Apocalypse, you know about this place. Built in 1922 by Surgeon to the Stars Charles Montgomery, it was the main focus of Season 1 and part of Season 8, where Michael, the Antichrist, was born. Long story short, if you die on the premises, you return as a ghost. Scarlett here is our protagonist for the first two episodes, moving in with her two dads who want to turn the place into a haunted bed and breakfast. This isn't the first time we've seen a gay couple move into Murder House. In Season 1, we had Chad and Patrick. Chad ends up being one of several characters who don the rubber suit to kill, along with Tate Langdon, Ben Harmon, and Michael Langdon. Scarlett will end up wearing the suit as well as being the first rubber woman, which is the name of this episode. Outside the home, we'll see these hanging bones, just like in the first episode of Season 1. And as Scarlett unpacks in her new home, we'll see this butterfly frame. In fact, butterflies can be found all over her room. Just like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, so too does Scarlett become her true self by the end of episode 2. You'll also see her wearing necklaces that evoke her own emotional prison, like this one here with handcuffs, and this one a chain. To make things creepier, this red ball rolls into the room, a reference to Beauregard Langdon's ball he used to play with while chained in the attic. This is supposed to lead her to the rubber suit, and of course, as soon as you find a creepy S&M suit, you just have to try it on. At high school, where Scarlett is an outcast, the teacher talks about a part of the brain called the amygdala, the part that starts firing off signals when you're scared. Some people can turn this part of their brain off, but in the process lose their emotions. As we'll find out later, it's heavily implied Scarlett's amygdala doesn't function properly. She has no fear and kills without empathy. Her best friend Shanti echoes this statement in episode 2 by adding that Scarlett shares the same traits as a psychopath. Scarlett starts a fling with popular girl Maya, played by Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter. This crush manifests at home when Scarlett dreams of making out with her, and you may even hear this whistle tune. This is the same tune Tate Langdon whistled in Season 1, so it's a nice callback, and of course, Rubberman himself is watching over her. Now, some people have said this is Tate Langdon watching in the background with his green sweater, but I just don't buy it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. While Scarlett heads off to school, her parents sit her down to talk about her recent internet searches, which include violent BDSM. And are they not even going to mention this weird-ass mural they uncover in the background? In a future scene, we can get a better shot of it, which looks like someone performing an exorcist on a woman, which may be a slight nod to Scarlett being possessed when she kills. Scarlett decides it would be funny to prank her parents by holding a knife and dressing up in the rubber suit, but when her dad tries to take it off her, he's accidentally cut. That leads into the next day where they have a family therapy session which outlines Scarlett's past. When she was 3, she was kidnapped by a crazed woman who had lost her own child. She was gone for 10 days but has no recollection of these events. We never really find out how this affects the story, and it's never brought up again, again, it may have just been to hammer home the fact she doesn't get scared and her parents are overprotective. Meanwhile, the therapist follows the red ball and we can catch a glimpse of the two redhead boys who were killed in Murder House in season 1. She heads into the basement where she is killed by the Rubber Man, now becoming a permanent part of the house. It's kind of weird no one comes looking for her for the entire 2 episodes. So Scarlett ends up sneaking out of the house to attend a slumber party with Maya and her friends, but when she's left alone with her crush, she opens up about being turned on by pain and torture. This, however, is all a cruel joke put on by Maya and her friends who have secretly live-streamed the whole thing, essentially embarrassing Scarlett in front of her entire school who now thinks she's a pervert. Scarlett decides to get back at them, warning that she'll kill herself and blame it on them if they don't come over. And outside the house, one of the girls remarks that she once went on a horror tour of LA where they talked about Murder House, which is a throwback to when Vivian Harmon found a horror tour bus outside her home. Scarlett, as the Rubber Woman, kills Maya and her friends as the song Tonight You Belong to Me plays, another song that was used in season 1. You may have even noticed the Infantata creature, who was a being crafted together by Charles Montgomery using pieces of his dead child. Near the end of the first episode, we're also greeted by the now dead therapist who says she's fighting for office hours because another therapist is in the house. This, of course, is a reference to Ben Harmon, the therapist patriarch of season 1. You might also be asking yourself, how come we don't see any of these other famous Murder House ghosts? This is likely due to both COVID and budget restrictions. In episode 2, we get our first glimpse of Ruby McDaniel, who becomes Scarlett's love interest. In her first scene, we see her killing the ghost of Nurse Gladys, who has made appearances in both season 1 and Apocalypse. Her childhood was marked by a horribly abusive man named Tony. Her real parents sold her to him, so she decided to kill herself in Murder House in an attempt to make the news. But when the realtor found her, she ended up burying the body to avoid the price of the house going down. Now, this could be a nod to Marcy, the realtor from season 1, who often withheld information from her clients in an attempt to make a sale. Scarlett here has settled into Tate Langdon's former room, fitting since both characters turn mad. Detectives arrive looking for the murdered girls, but again, no one seems to be looking for the therapist. Speaking of her, Michael tells her that he's being haunted by a pig man. This is a throwback to episode 6 of season 1 entitled Piggy Piggy, where one of Ben Harmon's patients is haunted by a Chicago butcher who murders wearing a pig's head. With renovations on the house taking longer than expected and Troy having to dig into Scarlett's college fund to pay for it, they enlist the help of Adam the contractor, a contractor who ends up having an affair with Troy. It's all playing out too similar to Murder House, where Ben had an affair, but things really take a turn when Adam's co-worker Martin stumbles upon the bodies of the missing girls. And what does Adam do? Well, he kills Martin, of course. He's so in debt that he blackmails Troy and Michael into being partners not only in the haunted B&B idea, but also in their marriage. Michael ends up kicking him out, where he's promptly killed by the Rubber Man, and we soon find out that both Troy and Michael have already been killed. They've been killed by Ruby, they just don't remember because apparently it was a traumatic experience and they blocked it out of their minds. Okay, I guess we'll go with it. This is also Ruby's attempt to keep Scarlett, her lover, at Murder House without actually killing her. Scarlett ends up finding out her parents are dead, and I guess it's because she has no empathy, she gets over it pretty quickly, going out later that night with Ruby to celebrate Halloween. In season 1, we learn that the ghosts of Murder House have one night a year where they can leave the house, and that's Halloween. So the murdered girls, seeking revenge, construct a plan to kill Scarlett off of the property. This way, when she dies, she won't be able to come back, and she'll be separated from Ruby forever. It's like a revenge version of killing two birds with one stone. Ruby and Scarlett decide to spend their night out on the town at a local haunted house, where we can see a freak show in the background. Freak show, of course, was the theme of season 4. Inside the haunted house, we'll see one of the haunters who looks a lot like Lady Gaga's character Scathach from season 6. I never know how to pronounce that. But date night doesn't go as expected when Scarlett is chased down by Maya and the girls. She'll survive, but later when she meets the other girls outside the house and apologizes to them, they just kind of drop it. It felt very anticlimactic. Scarlett tells Ruby she can't stay in the house. She loves Ruby, but wants to explore the world. Ruby is okay with this, and 10 months later we see Scarlett has tracked down Ruby's abuser and takes him out with a hammer while wearing the rubber suit. And Scarlett ends up showing up to Halloween every year to visit Ruby and her parents. Not sure why it's only once a year, she can visit them anytime, but whatever. And last little Easter egg is the Normal People Scare Me shirt Ruby wears, which Tate Langdon also wore in season 1. Now, if you want want my opinion of the first 2 episodes, I thought it was just very average. I really wanted them to do something different, but everything in the episode it felt like I've seen before. But I want to know what you guys thought of the first 2 episodes. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes, you can always follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.